So good afternoon. Let me rotate this way. Alrighty, here we go. We're back underneath the car, and as you can see, this is our oil pump, and we took off the oil pump strainer and we removed the switch for the oil level for the light to come on, and we can take a look at this now. We see everything looks pretty good. Let me get the light around so we can see. Yeah, everything in here looks pretty good. It's just dirty. Let me see if we can get a nice view into this thing here. The oil pump is good. And now we're gonna take a look at the chain. And the chain could use some slack. We can see the tensioner here moves, and we have slack on it. Not too much, but we have slack. It probably, the next time the engine gets worked on, we need a new guide here and a new tensioner. You have to take this out. This doesn't come out very easy. I have an extra chain, but the chain doesn't have a lot of stretch, so it is primarily here. Now, when I took off the oil pan, we had not really a surprise, but I kind of expected of what I was seeing, and let me show you what I got here. If we can come out. Yeah, let's see. The oil pan got hit, probably reversing into something. You can see the dent here, and when we look inside here, you can see this and how far this came up. And this is the vicinity where the stuff sits at. Now, what happened here is the old oil strainer basically completely collapsed. This is what the new oil strainer looks like. It is all soft, rubbery stuff, and it touches the oil pan that sits in that tube there that goes in there, and you can see and how hard this was. I had to use the hammer to actually break this, which is rubber, which is that soft rubber here when it is new. And we found the reminiscence of old chain guides. This is what was in the filter. It had sucked in here. And this is part of it too, why I had so many problems getting a constant oil flow going. We will see what this is going to look like now. But this is basically all of the stuff which was in there, and it had accumulated in the oil filter. And I have two switches. This is the original one, and I cleaned it out, and it seems to be working. And I think it didn't get enough oil because of that bump in the oil pan. So I'm either going to get a new oil pan, or I'm going to bang out the bump. I think I'm going to try that first and see how that works. And that's about it. So the chain on there is going to be, I will see when we take the engine apart for a complete overhaul. But if you remember this, I said it the other day as I was wondering, you can see the new guide rails I have in with that new tensioner we had, that Fabi tensioner and the Fabi chain that was done at the same time. And that broke on them. And when that broke, they put that Fabi stuff in there. And it looks like the guides are Mercedes-Benz. I have new guides, and I will put those in here pretty soon when we adjust the Woodruff key up there with the correct thing. Is I'm waiting for two new sprockets to come in, camshaft sprockets too, to eliminate the error or to reduce the error we're having. And I said in my video, I think 6 months ago, it was in the beginning of the winter, in the start right around Christmas or shortly after Christmas, beginning of January, when I inspected the chain and the tensioners and everything else, that was done probably 30,000 miles ago. And that would coincide with what I'm finding here. So the Fabi chain was probably the second chain. It all came loose on them, and they pulled the new chain in, and they did the guide rails. That would have been somewhere around 300,000 miles. And the speedometer stopped working in 2015 at 330,403, 330,403 miles. I don't think they drove very much with this car after this. And so this is the original stuff. You can see how dark this was compared to what I had. And they must have cleaned everything out, but they didn't check the filter because this was stuck in here, inside. You see this would sit inside, crumbled up here, held back by it. That is just what you get with these old cars. And so my original assessment was correct. One thing what the Fabi chains obviously do not handle is extreme cold and extreme hot in a fairly rapid change. And that basically ruined the Fabi chain after 30,000 miles, which would have been in 2012, I think. That's when they had it. I can look this up by the emissions tests from California. I have all the dates there because of the annual or 2-year interval for emissions testing. And so I can trace this back. So somewhere around 2011, 2012, that car had about 300,000 miles on it. And that was after that lady drove it for about 20, 30,000 miles. That's when that came apart. And like so many times. But interestingly enough, from that point on, like I said in my other video 6 months ago, is they didn't completely fix everything. They had these 2 old spark plug wires in there and the 6 new ones for a 6-cylinder. Well, anyway, so that all backtracks. 30,000 miles on a Fabi chain, that was the end. One Kansas winter to a Kansas summer. 30,000 miles later, that was the end of both Fabi tensioner and Fabi chain. Probably 8 years old at this point, 30,000 miles, and that was the end of it. That's what you can expect with Fabi Bilstein parts. They were probably lucky, or we were lucky that we got that many, but that was just the end of it. I would have expected that chain to last longer, but it sure didn't. The quality is just that far deteriorating in these things. All right, let me put it all back together, and then I'm going to have some lunch. You have a great day. Thank you.